So we'll talk a little bit about living free and how we can live free. And start off with an illustration from Miley Cyrus, one of our pop superstars. And recently in a article or an interview, she said, "I'm not human, I'm genderless. I just want to be nothing." All right? I bring this up, I'll continue on, because when it comes to how do I live free, we're always looking for answers. And we look to celebrities and pop stars and radio talk show hosts, people on TV, friends, to know, how can I get what I want? How can I experience the things that I want to experience? She went on, and the article says this: American singer Miley Cyrus has revealed that she considers herself not as a woman, but as a genderless being. Now engaged to Liam Hemsworth, 27, the singer who has been in an on and off relationship with the actor for 8 years, has revealed that she is pansexual. She added, "My whole life, I didn't understand my own gender and sexuality. I always hated the word bisexual because that's even putting me in a box. I don't ever think about someone being a boy or someone being a girl." Speaking during a pre-recorded interview with Ross King, the singer noted that she considers herself ageless and does not see herself as separate or higher compared to animals. So where does this come from? In an interview which aired on ITV's Lorraine, the 24-year-old noted that she enjoys being a free spirit. She wants to be free. We want to be free. People are searching for freedom. She wants to be free from labels, free from boxes, free from categories. Towards the end of the interview, the singer, when asked what she thought was weird about her, said this: "I'm weird for many reasons. I think I feel genderless. I feel ageless. I feel," where does she get this from? She says, "I'm just a spirit soul, not divided by human beings, even animals," she continued. "There's no me and them. There's no us and you. I just want to be nothing." She wants to be free. Now you think this is crazy, some of you do. But 10 years ago, you thought that all this sexual stuff going on today was crazy. And now you think it's normal. You see, we just accept it all. Why? Because of who it comes from. It's coming from out there, from the authorities, from the world. She wants to be free. She wants no labels. And you know what? She's looking to religion and popular movements to find that. It's kind of like a buffet. Pick and choose what you want. This is an article from Wikipedia. It's about Atman. Now, Atman means the self. And Atman is a term that's used in Hinduism, Buddhism, other Eastern religions. And it says the Upanishad, that's one of the writings of ancient India, asserts that this knowledge of I am Brahman. Now, Brahman means what? That's the ultimate reality. It's non-physical. It's just that ultimate reality that exists out there. And everyone in life, according to Hinduism, is trying to escape the body, escape the world, and become united with Brahman. So the idea of I am Brahman. And that there is no difference between I and you, or I and him, is a source of liberation. And not even gods can prevail over such a liberated man. That's where it comes from. So where does she get this idea that I'm not me and you're not you and there's no difference between you and I? It comes out of religion. She's reading this somewhere and she's saying, yeah, that's it. I don't have to wear any labels. I don't have to be anything. I can just be nothing. So she's searching for freedom. We're all searching for freedom. And she's looking at, these things come from Hinduism and Buddhism. Now, they're different religions. In Hinduism, the goal is to be liberated from the body, because you're a soul trapped in the body, and become one with Brahman. Enter into that. The picture that I was taught in school was it's like you're a bubble in the drink. And throughout all your reincarnations, you're slowly moving up to the drink to after one reincarnation, maybe thousands or millions down the road, you're free. It happened. All right? Now, Buddhism is different, because Buddhism says that we're not free and miserable because we're attached to things. We're attached to stuff, to material things, to wants, to desires, and the ultimate attachment is to me. In order to be free in Buddhism, you got to get rid of all attachments, including me. And so nirvana in Buddhism is to become nothing. You're free of all attachment. Because Buddhism teaches that all of our pain and suffering comes because we've attached ourselves, our desires, our lives, whatever, to people, to things, to wants, to stuff. And if we can just escape and enter into this nothingness, we'll be free. But all that is seeking this freedom, a longing for freedom. So how can we live free? Well, in a couple minutes, I want to talk to us about what Jesus said about living free and how we can do that. But first, I want to show you a video. And this video comes from Prager University. And these are short videos about politics and philosophy and life and different things. And this one talks about what our founders said we needed to do to be free. Okay? Because we just sort of celebrated the 4th of July, the Declaration of Independence. And so the founders thought about these very same things. They thought about how can we be a free people? How can we be a people who live freely in a democratic republic? And so here's a short video on what the founders understood was necessary for political freedom, for freedom in society.
What role should religion play in a free society? More and more people today would answer, none. That would not have been the answer of the founders of the United States, the men who fought the American Revolution and wrote the country's Constitution. To them, the issue of religion and freedom were inextricably linked. You couldn't have freedom without religion. In fact, the political philosophy of the founders necessitated a divine foundation. Thomas Jefferson makes this clear in the Declaration of Independence when he writes that all men are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. The purpose of government, Jefferson and his compatriots believed, was not to bestow rights. Rather, it was to protect those rights already endowed upon human beings by God. But government isn't enough for a free society. A moral people is also required. That is, a people moral enough to police itself. Virtue or morality, George Washington observed, is a necessary spring of popular government. Thus, for the founders, liberty was not merely the ability to do what one wanted. It came with moral demands and boundaries. They all accepted the rule of life expressed by Benjamin Franklin. Nothing brings more pain than too much pleasure, nothing more bondage than too much liberty. The founders knew that the absolute enemy of freedom was, ironically, a freedom that was absolute and unrestrained. And where was this restraint going to come from? Their answer was religion, which for them, because of when and where they lived, was some variety of Christianity. Let divines and philosophers, statesmen and patriots unite, Samuel Adams wrote, in instructing citizens in the art of self-government. In short, of leading them in the study and practice of the exalted virtues of the Christian system. The Christian system to which Adams refers is composed of Judeo-Christian values, the values rooted in the Old and New Testaments, both of which were referred to by the founders with equal conviction and frequency. Jefferson, yes, the very same Thomas Jefferson who is so often portrayed as anti-religious, confirmed this sentiment in his notes on the state of Virginia, when he asked, "Can the liberties of a nation be thought secure when we have removed their only firm basis, a conviction in the minds of the people that these liberties are the gift of God, and that they are not to be violated but with His wrath?" James Madison likewise affirmed the essential connection between religion and morality. The belief in a God all-powerful, wise, and good is essential to the moral order of the world and to the happiness of man. John Adams believed that the doctrine of a supreme, intelligent, wise, almighty sovereign of the universe, a doctrine he credited to Judaism, was the great essential principle of all morality and consequently of all civilization. And he applied this thinking specifically to the new nation he helped to create. Our Constitution, he said, was made only for a moral and religious people. It is wholly inadequate to the government of any other. As president, he replied to a letter from university students in a way that would surprise many today. Science, liberty, and religion have an inseparable union. Without their joint influence, no society can be great, flourishing, or happy. Meanwhile, another founder, Alexander Hamilton, looked at the French Revolution and saw something much different. That revolution, unlike the American Revolution, had devolved into violence and chaos. Hamilton believed he understood why. The anti-religious force it unleashed, he wrote, annihilates the foundations of social order and true liberty, confounds all moral distinctions, and substitutes for the mild and beneficent religion of the gospel a gloomy, persecuting, and desolating atheism. For the founders, a free society divorced from religion simply could not work and would not survive. It is no wonder then that in his farewell address, George Washington chastised those who would claim to be patriots and yet undermine the influence of religion. Of all the dispositions and habits which lead to political prosperity, religion and morality are indispensable supports. In vain would that man claim the tribute of patriotism who should labor to subvert these great pillars of human happiness, these firmest props of the duties of men and citizens. The founders did not demand that anyone believe in any particular religion or even in God. Quite the contrary. But while they understood the value of a secular government, they feared a secular society, one without religion. So should we. I'm Joshua Charles, writer and researcher at the Museum of the Bible for Prager University.
I said religion and morality. Why? Because religion and morality helps produce what? Boundaries, self-discipline. It restrains. You see, we can't have freedom through law enforcement. Why? Because that is going to be oppressive. The only way to be free is if you and I have what? Self-control. If I have no self-control, you have no self-control, we're continually going to be violating one another. And so we have to be able to live with boundaries, live with control, live with limitations on what we do. We can't just do whatever feels good, whatever feels right, whatever I want. Now, you've heard that before. What's true for you is true for you. What's true for me is true for me, right? Well, then why don't you affirm my truth? Right? Okay, if it's true, whatever's true for you is true for me, or true for you, and whatever's true for me is true for me, then why don't they affirm my truth? Because they believe it's not true. You see, that's just a phrase that's thrown out there, but it's not believed. It's not really believed. So we really got to think about right and wrong and how these things work together in living freely. In living freely. So we're going to look at this today in living free and some of what Jesus says about this. We're going to begin in the Gospel of Matthew. I just want to read a verse out of Matthew chapter 11, 28 to 30. Now, Jesus saw the masses. He saw they were hurting. He saw that many were in pain, many in poverty, many searching for hope. And he said, "Come to me, all of you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take up my yoke and learn from me, because I am lowly and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy, and my burden is light." Jesus promised freedom. Jesus promised rest. But where does it come from? It comes from Him. It comes from His yoke. Do you know what a yoke was? A yoke is what kept the oxen in line. Do you realize that? So the yoke is when they were plowing the field and you have the animals pulling the plow, what keeps them together and in line? Well, they put that yoke on them, what? To keep them on the right course. Jesus says, you want rest? You want peace? You want freedom? Then put on my yoke. And let me steer you. Let me guide your life. In John chapter 8, verses 31 and 32, it says that Jesus said to the Jews who had believed in him, "If you continue in my word, you are really my disciples." Now, a disciple is someone who knows Jesus and someone who follows Jesus. Disciples were like students. They were people who had a relationship with their mentor, with their teacher, and they learned and they lived with that person and emulated them in their own lifestyle. He says, "You will know the truth, and the truth will set you free." Now, how can you know the truth? If you continue in my word. That means you hear the word, you study the word, you memorize the word gets into your mind, and you begin to live according to the word of Jesus Christ. That's the yoke that leads to freedom and to rest. You will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. So how do we experience this freedom, and what did Jesus teach even beyond this? We're going to look at that this morning. The freedom comes through your relationship with Jesus Christ. That's where it comes. He says, "Come to me, abide in my word, let my word abide in you, and you will receive freedom." And he says it's a yoke. It's a yoke. It's something that we put on that guides our lives. I put up a sign a few years ago that said this. Well, it didn't go over, did it? Try it again. Now, somebody may remember what that says. Anybody remember what that says? This goes back a few years, so it's all right. I'll give you a few seconds. If you figured it out, raise your hand. Jennifer's got it. All right. Okay, Jennifer, what does it say?
Freedom without boundaries is chaos.
That's right. So, okay, same exact letters. Freedom without boundaries is chaos. You see, there rules, guidance, limitations, self-control brings freedom. It brings life. So we have to have a guide. And of course, the guide is our Creator. The one who made us. The one who died for us and redeemed us and gives us new life. A boundary is an issue of authority. Right? The boundary says you can't go past here. You must walk within this lane. You must abide by these rules. Now, there's a part of us that just fights against that. But what I want you to realize is that freedom, absolute freedom, doesn't give you freedom. It destroys your life. If you can do anything you want, whatever you feel like doing, without any wisdom, without guidance, without structure, without limitations, your life will be a ruin. That's what debauchery is. A life without limits. So the question is, who or what has authority over your life? And Jesus says, if you want freedom, then what? Then I must have authority over your life. If you want rest, then I must have authority over your life. In Mark chapter 8, verses 31 to 38, it says, "Then he began to teach them." Now this was after Peter had declared and confessed that Jesus is the Christ. He had asked the disciples, "Who do men say that I am?" Some said John the Baptist, some said another prophet. And Peter says, "Thou art the Christ. You are the Christ, the Son of God." And then he began to teach them. And this is what he taught them who confessed that he is Christ, who confessed that he is Lord. He began to teach them that it was necessary for the Son of Man to suffer many things and be rejected by the elders, chief priests, and scribes, be killed, and rise after 3 days. So he's teaching them, this is the way it has to be. This is what's going to happen. I'm going to be rejected. I will be tried. I will be killed. But I will also rise after 3 days. It says he spoke openly about this. And Peter took him aside and began to rebuke him. He said, "I don't like that plan. I don't like that way. That's not going to happen, Jesus. But turning around and looking at his disciples, trying to see which way are you going to go, he rebuked Peter and said, "Get behind me, Satan." Can you believe Jesus said that to one of his disciples? It shows you how important this matter was. It shows how important following Jesus was. He was saying when you oppose the plan of God and the work of God, then what? You're aligning yourself with Satan, who came to do what? To kill, steal, and destroy. Now, he didn't say that. He didn't tell Eve in the garden, if you just eat this fruit, you'll die. He said, no, God was lying to you when he told you this would bring death. He said, instead, it'll make you like God, knowing good and evil. Now, what could that mean? God determines what is good and what is evil. How? Out of his very nature and character. He is good. What opposes him is evil. Satan was saying, you know what? You'll have authority. You'll have the authority to decide what is good and what is bad, what is right and what is wrong. You'll be free. You'll be out from under the yoke of God and his rules, and you can have that place of authority. Jesus continued talking to Peter by saying, you're not thinking about God's concerns, but about human concerns. You're seeing only what you can see. You're thinking about what you want to happen and what you don't want to happen. But he says you have to look beyond that to what God is doing. Because only God sees the big picture. Only God can bring things together to fulfill his plans and his purposes. Peter's response was a natural response. Any of us would respond in the exact same way. No, Jesus, that can't happen, Jesus. But the problem was he wasn't following Jesus. Jesus told them, this is the way it has to be. This is what will happen. And he's saying, follow me. And then it says, calling the crowd along with his disciples, he said to them, if anyone wants to follow after me, let him deny himself, take up his cross, and follow me. Because if anyone wants to follow me, if anyone wants to have this truth that brings freedom, if anyone wants the life that I give, the rest that I offer, he says he has to deny himself. Deny self is who will rule? Who will rule in your life? When Jesus says deny yourself, he's saying to you and to me, take yourself off the throne and yield yourself to me, to my authority, to my leadership, to my guidance, to my direction for your life. He says, if you want to follow me, then that's what you have to do. You see, if I'm in charge, if I'm the boss, if I decide what's good and bad, what's right and wrong, what I should do or shouldn't do, just based on what I want, then I'm not following Jesus. He says, deny yourself. Take up the cross is death to self. That's what the cross was. The cross was an instrument used to kill people. So when Jesus says to take up your cross, he's saying die to self. Die to self being on the throne of your life. Die to self ruling your life. That's easy for me to say. But when you walk out of this building, it's going to be hard to believe because nobody out there is going to tell you the same thing. You're going to say, no, do what you feel is right. Feel good about what you want. But what we know from Scripture and what we know is from history is that there is a real evil, a real fallenness inside of us. And left to ourselves, people do bad things. Now that's not fun to say, but it happens. Who in here has been hurt before? Who's been hurt badly by someone in your family? Who's been hurt badly by a friend? Why? There's something in them, something in us that's wrong. So we cannot live under the authority of self. If we want to be free, we must live under the authority of God. Take up your cross. The desires, cravings, passions that we have, that's in the natural, that's what we want to follow. I want to follow my desire wherever it leads me. I may have received wisdom from a parent, a teacher, a leader, a pastor, but this is what I want. I want this guy, I want this girl, I want this job, I want this boat, I want this. I have a passion for it, a craving for it. It's my dream. This is the answer to my longings. And we chase after that, running away from Jesus. We're oftentimes also ruled by fear, anxiety, shame, and guilt. How can I be free from those things? Well, Jesus says, just die to yourself. Do you know a dead person can't be offended? Right? A dead person doesn't seek vengeance. A dead person is not filled with shame and guilt and all this stuff ruling their lives. You see, we're ruled by self a lot. That's why we fight with these things. You walk into a room and what do you think? What do people think about me, right? What do they think about my clothes? What do they think about my hair? What do they think about my eyes, my teeth, right? And that controls how we act and behave. And many times we act out of fear or guilt or shame or all kinds of things. Why? Because when we're going into a situation, we're always thinking about me. How is this going to affect me? What's it going to do to me? Is it going to help me fulfill my agenda, or is it going to go against my agenda? But Jesus says, die to self and follow me. He says, seek ye first the kingdom of heaven and His righteousness. And He says, all these things that you worry about will what? Be given unto you. Now this is radical. This is very, very radical. But this is what Jesus taught. It's the way to be free. He says in verse 35, for whoever wants to save his life will lose it, but whoever loses his life because of me and the gospel will save it. What does that mean? Jesus wants you to save your life. And He says you're going to save it how? By giving it to me. It says give your life to God. Give your life to the one who created you. Give your life to the one who can redeem you. Give your life to the one who gives the breath of life, and you will live. He says, what does it benefit someone to gain the whole world and yet lose his life? What does this mean? This means that your life is of greater value than anything in the world. That's what Jesus is teaching. He's not saying in denying yourself and crucifying yourself that you have no value. He's saying, no, your life is of more value than anything this world could give you. He's saying, don't trade it. Don't trade your life, your soul for anything else, but save your life. He says, what can anyone give in exchange for his life? For whoever is ashamed of me, in my words, in this adulterous and sinful generation, the Son of Man will also be ashamed of him when he comes in the glory of his Father with the holy angels. That's a warning. All right? That's a warning. Why does he give that warning? Because he knows that they're going to say, okay, Jesus, I'm going to follow you. But what's going to happen? They won't approve. they won't go along with it. You see, nobody wants to turn on the TV at night and listen to the comedian making fun of them, right? You don't want to turn on Bill Maher and hear him making fun of you. You don't want to have Jon Stewart making fun of you because you're a Christian, you're following Jesus. So you say, yeah, I'm going to follow Jesus. And then you turn on the television, and there he is making fun of Christians, making fun of Christian beliefs. You think, well, maybe not. You go to school and you want to fit in. You think about me. I want to fit in. I want to look good. I want people to respond to me. But if I follow Christ, I live for Christ, I stand for Christ, they're going to criticize me. I don't want that. Jesus knew that was going to happen. As soon as you say, I'm going to follow Jesus, there's going to be this pushback from other people who aren't following Jesus. And there you may be ostracized, laughed at, ignored, pushed aside. So he says, don't be ashamed of me. Don't reject me. Because when you reject me, guess what? You're not going to be with me when I return. You must receive me. A lot of pressure. A lot of pressure from people to what? To conform to their beliefs. So when they tell you, oh, whatever's true for you is true for you, and whatever's true for me is true for me, then why are they making fun of you for what you believe? Why are they calling you names because of what you believe? Because they want you to believe what they believe. They want you to follow them. Why? Because that affirms them and their beliefs. So Jesus says, if you're going to follow me, you're going to have to deny yourself, take up your cross, and follow me on the road that I'm leading you on. Jesus wants us to live free. And how do we know we're living free? We know we're living free when we're free to want what is good. When we reach that point and we grow into that place in our lives when what I desire is that which is good. We're living free when we have the freedom, what? To do what is good. Now this doesn't take place magically. It doesn't take place because you say something. This takes place through a process of transformation, of spiritual formation. It's being transformed from the inside out. It's changing how we think. It's changing our loyalties and our allegiances. It's come to a place where my trust at the very deepest part of me is in Jesus Christ, and I'm going to follow Him. And so as I begin to follow Jesus, and I begin to think about it, put things into my mind that are going to teach me the teachings of Jesus, how to follow Him. As I begin to have visions and images and outlooks about things that conform to the will of God. As I surround myself with people who will encourage me and lift me up, I'll change. One part of living free is having the ability to give, to serve others. When I began to learn how to give, to defer, to serve, in the freedom of Christ will begin to rise up within me. Jesus wants you to be free. Now, as I showed at the beginning, Miley wants to be free. We all want to be free. But most people think being free means having no boundaries. Doing whatever I want to do, being whatever I want to be, and just living my life with me on the throne. But Jesus says, no, I made you. And you were created and fashioned in such a way that in order to be free, to fulfill your purpose, and to experience what I have for you, you have to live according to my design. You have to be who you were created to be. And that's what Jesus wants. He wants for you to be you. And the you is the man, the woman, the teenager, the boy, the girl that Jesus has made you to be.